Hello everyone! We're going to take a look at another Roger Corman movie today. I kept coming across this title when I was working on my reviews of Not of This Earth, The Wasp Woman, A Bucket of Blood, and The Little Shop of Horrors. I wasn't sure if I had seen it or not because it turns out I was getting the title confused with 1957's The Monster That Challenged the World. However, once I saw the poster art for this, I was like, I definitely have not watched that, but I need to. It Conquered the World is a 1956 film produced and directed by Roger Corman, starring Peter Graves, Beverly Garland, and Lee Van Cleef. In this low-budget alien invasion thriller, we've just sent our first satellite into space, an achievement opposed by Lee Van Cleef's eccentric physicist, who warns that it'll draw the attention of beings in the universe who so far have left us alone. Yet, bizarrely, Van Cleef is the one who makes first contact with a character from Venus that hitchhikes a ride on the satellite as it returns to Earth. Van Cleef insists it has come to help mankind, but we know that's not the case. I give you fair warning that I am all over the place with my opinion on this one. I liked it, I enjoyed watching it, but I can't make up my mind if the movie is good or not. Does it really matter? I don't know. Maybe not. And I think, depending on your perspective, the answer to that question might vary. The obvious selling point is the alien design so prominently featured on the poster, a funny triangle monster with angry eyes. That comically sinister image is what sold me on the movie, and then I showed it to my mom, and immediately she was on board. So it was disappointing to discover that while it is in the film, it gets very little screen time. I think it was 2 minutes max. Is that enough, or is it a bait and switch? I was feeling a little gypped, but I asked my mom, and she said she was satisfied with how much of it we got to see, especially because, according to her, there's not much more they could have done with it. The alien was designed and played by Paul Blaisdell, the artist and sculptor behind many notable B-movie monsters of the 1950s. He designed special effects and creatures for Roger Corman in The Beast with a Million Eyes, Not of This Earth, and Day the World Ended, in which he played the mutant. Ooh, wow, I really enunciated that. He also worked on The She-Creature and The Spider. He did the alien from It, the Terror from Beyond Space, and the notorious Killer Tree in From Hell It Came. That's quite a resume. Monster movie fans have affectionately dubbed the alien in this movie the Cucumber Monster. I don't really think there's much of a resemblance, but okay. This pointy provocateur is able to communicate with Lee Van Cleef via a machine he's set up in his living room. No explanation for how he's able to understand what the humming noises on the other end mean.
Can't you hear it, the other thing?
What other thing?
Listen to it, Paul. Listen to the voice.
The film takes a page right out of 1951's The Day the Earth Stood Still by having the alien cut all power, stopping the city, and it's implied the rest of the world, in its tracks. Then it releases these so-called control devices that zap certain key individuals in the neck, turning them into tools to do its bidding. These control devices are kind of like floppy little stingrays or flying pancakes with little faces on them. They reminded me of the creatures in the Star Trek episode Operation Annihilate. This aspect might sound reminiscent of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and the first adaptation of that book had come out about 5 or 6 months before this. So it's possible that it was an inspiration, although those who are being controlled by these devices don't become completely robotic. Lou Rusoff gets sole credit for writing the screenplay, though according to IMDb, frequent Corman screenwriter Charles Griffith made uncredited contributions. Griffith is actually in the film. He's the scientist with the glasses and the shiny dark hair.
Well, then send it back up. Don't experiment with it.
It's too late now, General. She's in pattern. Or supposed to be.
What's going to happen next?
I don't think I want to know.
Jonathan Hayes and Dick Miller, two other Corman regulars, also have supporting roles as soldiers who are sent out of the way as part of a reconnaissance mission, which basically means sitting around in the woods until something happens. Hayes and Miller don't have much to do here, mostly just a few bumbling scenes where they add light comic relief. I felt like the story kept cutting back to them merely to remind us that they were out there, so when they showed up at the end, it wouldn't seem so random. That, or Corman just got a kick out of them. So the movie has its weaknesses, its telltale, low-budget sci-fi horror movie elements. The way the control device flies around is silly, and I think we see the same footage over and over again. The satellite crash is... oof. Yet the hokier moments didn't end up dominating the movie for me. I think because it spends so much more time developing the tension between the main characters. This really didn't feel like an alien invasion movie. It's more of a thriller, even a domestic thriller, with some brief gimmicky horror movie stuff thrown in. It's interesting to see Peter Graves and Lee Van Cleef fairly early in their acting careers. Of course, they found huge success years later. This seems like kind of an odd fit for both of them, but I think they do okay. Peter Graves is Peter Graves, pleasant, not exactly exciting, but dependable. He is the hero, and for a scientist, he gets a couple decent action scenes that show off his left-handed shooting. As for Lee Van Cleef, I'm not sure. He's given some gobbledygook dialogue to deliver, and he does a good job with it. He just doesn't sound typical of the character he's playing that I've seen in similar films. But that shouldn't be a bad thing, right? That he's different from what you expect, that he's not quite fitting the stereotype. And he is convincing. It's just an unusual casting choice. Or it's unusual to see him in a movie like this. I don't know, it's one of those. It's Beverly Garland who's the winner in this picture. I do find the variety of costume changes she has makes it hard to tell if the action is taking place over a number of hours or days, but aside from that, she herself is great here. She plays Lee Van Cleef's concerned wife, pleading with him to give up his crazy ideas. She begs, she argues, she appeals to his softer side and his common sense, until at last she has to take matters into her own hands. She's got a couple awesome moments in the second half. Yet while she dials it up, she still keeps it feeling natural instead of over the top.
Look, I don't know whether you can hear me or not, but if you can, you listen good. I hate your living guts for what you've done to my husband and my world. I know you for the coward you are, and I'm gonna kill you. Do you hear that? I'm gonna kill you.
As for the rest of the film, I think it's not too shabby. It does have a few spots where it gets a little talky, but for the most part, it moves quickly enough. There are some effective and surprising scenes of violence, a dark, serious tone, and it has some creative transitions, like this fade from one person standing at a window to another, and this cut.
In about 8 seconds, the sphere will be launched. They're in the countdown right now.
I went into this anticipating a standard, low-budget, not great, but hopefully amusing alien monster movie. And I got that, but I also got more depth and personality than I expected, and that elevated it for me. Now, I don't know that this movie would appeal to everyone. It's not as fun or quirky as some other Corman films from this period. What intentional humor there is isn't especially funny, while the unintentional humor that you look forward to seeing in So Bad They're Good movies is, in my opinion, minimal. Also, since it's not particularly strong on atmosphere or spooky imagery, it's not a great classic horror movie either. So I can imagine some people finding this kind of boring, or just too dialogue heavy, or not wacky enough to be entertaining. However, I did like it, and when I watched it again, I liked it even more. It's a bit rough, it's a bit oversimplified, a couple gags seem shoot in, and the effects are what they are. but most of the featured performances are good. Beverly Garland is great, and it says what it wants to say pretty well. It's almost like two movies in one. It's a morality tale with creature feature packaging. Those are my thoughts on It Conquered the World. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I gave you enough information to help you decide if you would like this movie or not. If you choose to watch it, or if you've seen it before, go ahead and share your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll be back next week with another review. Thanks for watching.